if you would like to come on live and get coached or ask questions, I will definitely provide some space and time for that. I like to connect with you guys. That's what I'm all about. I am a connected communication coach and relationship coach. So let's connect. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we can just dive right into what we're all here for. Ditching defensiveness in our relationships. Okay, so I go view, play. Okay, perfect. And share screen. Okay. I think you guys should be able to see the presentation. Give me a Y for yes in the chat if you are seeing the Ditch Defensiveness Workshop intro. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Grace. Thanks, Corey. Awesome. Okay, well, so what is this all about? This is about learning the tools and practices so you can stay calm, cool, and collected, even in the most heated of conversations. And yeah, this is about, feeling understood and loved and connected in your relationship. Let's see, I'm just checking my settings here. One sec. Okay, I think we're good to go. Okay, awesome. Okay, so yes, this workshop's about one thing: how to ditch defensiveness in your relationship so that you can both you and your partner can feel understood and loved and connected and respected. And I'm a proponent of that one person can transform a relationship. So even if you don't have a partner who's like ready or willing to dive into this work themselves, you can still make changes on your end, your side of the street to move past a lot of this stuff. So really, like, we're going to be looking at like, how do you effectively communicate your needs in a way that creates deep understanding and in a way that doesn't trigger your partner back, right? Sometimes we get into this, like, one person's defensive and then we go back and forth triggering each other, right? So how do we stay out of that and stay calm, cool, and collected? So you're here because you want to communicate your feelings and needs and requests in a way that, where you're not blowing up at your partner and it doesn't turn into a defensive argument. You're here to communicate without blowing up, even when emotions are strong. So really, like, this is about building up that emotional resilience and emotional maturity so that even when you are emotionally activated, you can still be able to have a productive conversation. You're here because you want to be able to calmly also listen without getting defensive when your partner is upset or hurt or offering feedback. You want to learn how to respond to your partner's defensiveness when they're upset or angry as well. And really, I'm guessing you and your partner both want to be able to feel safe to openly express your needs and feelings and desires, and trust that you have the tools to solve any issue, to be able to talk about the hard stuff without the big reactions. So workshop agenda, just so you have a little bit of an overview of how this is going to flow and what we're going to dive into. So you're going to learn the number one reason why most relationships fail and how to avoid it and how to move through it. Also, we're going to uncover one major limiting belief that might be preventing you from ditching defensiveness. I just want to say, defensiveness, there's a lot going on in the way that you're thinking. So we're going to really look at what's going on in that subconscious mind of yours, what's going on up here in your brain. And that's really the first step to kind of ditching defensiveness. And then I'm also going to go over the 4-step formula that you need to stop being defensive and create the love and connection you desire and deserve with your partner. And so this is where I'm going to give you practical tools you can use inside of a conversation and outside of a conversation. So you both can feel listened to and feel like your partner cares about your perspective and feelings. So care is lost sometimes when defensiveness takes over. And at the end, for all of you who are here, I'm going to give you a fun little bonus giveaway for showing up today. Okay, so this workshop is for you if you are the kind of person who is committed to being the best version of themselves, who sees that ditching defensiveness is essential to feeling seen, heard, and understood by your partner. And if you're the kind of person who wants to create more love and connection and happiness in the relationship, who doesn't want that, and is motivated to do the inner work required to making lasting changes in their life and relationship. Of course, you guys know that none of this work happens like this, right? There's a process to it. So, yeah. Okay, so my goal here is to save you time, which sounds kind of funny on a relationship focused workshop here, but really, like, how much time are you spending feeling defensive, bickering, fighting, feeling mad and triggered, even after the fight ends, right? Like ruminating on like what just happened, still in that defensive reaction. Time complaining to your friends about your partner. Anyone? Yeah. Right. Time not sleeping and like thinking about like, whatever that thing, that tiff was, or maybe time feeling sad or lonely or insecure or unlovable or not prioritized in your relationship. There's a lot of time that gets spent in this stuff. So I really want to give you these tools so you can start to not spend so much time in these areas and spend more time connecting and feeling loved by your partner. Okay. So yeah. Also part of this goal, prevent breakup and divorce. Defensiveness is known as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, termed by John Gottman, who's a famous relationship researcher. So it's scientifically proven that defensiveness is one of the 4 predictors of divorce. So I want to keep you out of that. Also help you feel better. A lot of what I do and a lot of what I work with, in my coaching sessions and with my clients and in my programs, it's a lot of focus on emotional work and looking at building up that emotional maturity. So yeah, really like showing you how to manage your mind so you can feel better now. And really like, I have this term like feel it to heal it. So how do you process some of these emotions, even, that are getting triggered just in communication with your partner, and also looking at past stuff that's gone on that's still kind of lingering, past situations that have happened in childhood or from previous relationships that you're like dragging with you into the past. So this is about emotional processing as well. And then also showing you what's possible. Showing you that a happy, loving, reciprocal, deeply connected and peaceful relationship is 100% possible. We're not taught this stuff in school. We're just not. And so unless we take the time to learn it and dive into this work, yeah, like, of course we don't know how to communicate properly and not be in defensiveness, because it's just not learned, and it's just a skill set and it can be learned. So yeah, being able to be excited, to reunite with your partner at the end of the day. Like this sounds so simple and kind of weird and funny, but like, literally, like, what if you and your partner greeted each other like puppies at the end of a long day? Like, you're that excited to see each other. It's possible and amazing, like when you dive into this work. And yeah, rebuilding trust and connection and appreciation. And like re-sparking that passion that you had for each other. And then also, yeah, one person can transform the relationship. That's a really big piece of the work that I do, is that you don't need your couple to do your partner to do this work with you. Okay, so this series is specifically designed for the thunderstorm and the turtle. So the thunderstorm, you guys might laugh at this, see which one you identify with and maybe which one your partner identifies with. So the thunderstorm, defends by wanting to talk about it. And like, sometimes there's fighting and yelling, like the thunderstorm, kind of self-explanatory, right? Reactive, can explode at your partner when you're triggered, and then feels awful after blowing up at a partner. And sometimes they'll ask for what they want and need, but the partner doesn't follow through or doesn't really understand the need. The thunderstorm is misunderstood to be too much, too sensitive, too emotional, overbearing, nagging, demanding, critical, controlling, and judgmental. Yeah. Anyone? I wouldn't know about that. And then there's the turtle. So this form of defensiveness gets overlooked because it's more quiet and reserved. Yeah. So what if you're both thunderstorms? Totally. That's actually great because this training is like, is really geared for thunderstorms, and there are tools for the turtle, but, I'm guessing a lot of you here are more resonating with the thunderstorm rather than the turtle. It doesn't matter which category you fall into. It doesn't matter. And yes, it can be a combination of both. I'm seeing that question come through. But yeah, so the turtles like defends, you guys have all heard of fight, flight, or freeze, right? So the turtles usually like the thunderstorm is fighting, the turtle is in freeze or flight mode, right? Like they kind of shut down. They're afraid of the strong emotions, don't know how to handle big emotions. And they're misunderstood to be apathetic or cold, or, passive aggressive, thick skinned, or like a rug sweeper. Like they don't want to talk about it, just want to sweep it under the rug. And that's their form of defense mechanism. Okay. No matter if you are the turtle or the thunderstorm, I just want you to know that nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not toxic. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You're not too overreactive. I really like to start questioning these labels that we put on ourselves and that other people put on us. Because, when somebody says you're too sensitive, like compared to what? What are we talking about here? We're all very emotional beings. That is the nature of being human. Some people just hide their emotions and others express them. And there's no such thing as being overreactive. Even if it's interpreted that way. Okay, so this is not for you if you aren't open to taking a look at your part in the relationship dynamic. And also if you're looking for just like quick tricks to get your partner to change, it's not for you. Also, if you're looking for someone to take your side, and play the victim in your relationship, this work is about empowerment. And like, I'm here to give you responsibility in your relationship. And even just by being here, I can tell if you're here, you're probably not that person. So yes. Okay. And then, if your partner is defensive, I just want to, address this. So this workshop is geared toward you, toward you taking responsibility for your defensiveness. And I totally get that some of you have partners who are also defensive. So yeah, we will definitely explore that. And actually at the end, I'll be sharing a special offer that will kind of teach you everything you need to know about what to do with the defensive partner. How do I respond? And I also just want to let you know that what you learn here today will help your this workshop alone will kind of start to help you understand your partner's defensiveness and how to work with it. And I apologize for the coughing. This cough that I have is just relentless. So work with me here. Hello, I'm Erica Wright. Some of you know me, some of you don't. It's all good. It's such a pleasure to be in this room with you. An honor to get to be your guide today. And so I just want to share just a little bit about who I am and why I'm so passionate about helping people create extraordinary relationships. So yeah, my purpose, what I'm all about, is to inspire people to create unmesswithable connection, love, and understanding in all of their relationships. So the tools you will learn here today are all transferable. So they also work with a mother-in-law. They also work with a boss or a sibling, a friend, right? Defensiveness shows up in all of our relationships. And so lucky you get some exciting tools to take to all of your relationships. Also, I'm really big on focusing on the relationship with yourself. Really, the more connected you are to yourself, the more aware you are of your patterns and habits and triggers, right? The more you can be connected to others. So a little bit more about me. So I'm a relationship coach and communication specialist and an international business owner. So I work with clients all over the world, different time zones, which keeps it interesting. Sometimes I'm up early or late on coaching calls, but it's so fun to have that have clients everywhere. I'm also the creator of the Connected Communication Code and the Ditch Defensiveness Solution, which are my two signature programs where I lead individuals through my process to create the kind of love and relationships they really want. And just a heads up, I will be giving you a pretty exciting offer at the end of this workshop, and just a little treat for showing up today, like I mentioned. And, I can tell that you all are the kind of people who are committed to being the very best versions of yourself and deeply want to learn what it takes to have a kick-ass relationship. And nothing lights me up more than being able to actually serve the people who want to learn this stuff. So what else? I'm a guest speaker, a subconscious mind master, emotional health advocate. And you guys, I'm telling you, verbal defensive linebacker, as I call myself, turned peaceful, connected communicator. So that's right. I used to be the queen of defensiveness. Now I'm the queen of defensiveness in a different way. I get to lead people through this process and it's really exciting, but I'm telling you. So growing up, my mom would always tell me that I should be a lawyer because I could literally find a loophole in everything. And I would fight to the death. I'm telling you, defensiveness was my game. I even played goalie in soccer for 8 years. That's the most defensive, strongest defensive player on the team. So I was damn good at being defensive. And in fact, I was so good at being defensive that it eventually cost me quite a few relationships, both friendships and romantic relationships, and even a few jobs. I'm not kidding. So guess what? I eventually hit my own form of rock bottom and had no choice but to dive into my own ish and clean out the crap that was keeping me stuck in defensiveness. So this is how my 4-step ditch defensiveness method was born. This is my step-by-step process to letting go of defensiveness so you can move out of the power struggle, which I'll share more about in a second, and have your connected and effective conversations with your partner. This is my solution also to feeling better without using these old defensive coping mechanisms that don't actually work or get you the love that you want. So, question: who is your number one MVP defender? And I know this is a weird question, but just putting it out there, like, who's defending you? Like, where's your defensive-ness coming from? And if you want to take a guess, you can let me know in the chat. It's an interesting question to think about. Like, what is this defensiveness? If it's not me, who's defending? What's happening here? So your number one line of defense is that little voice inside your head. Yes, your ego. Exactly, for sure. Your ego. And this voice is actually not you. But up until this very moment, and for some of you some of you have already like done this work, and you know that your ego can run you unless you manage it and work with it. And for those of you who are like, what is she talking about? I'm going to give you just a second to listen to that little voice inside your head. I'm just going to be quiet for a second so you can hear it talking. So that little voice inside your head never shuts up, right? It might be saying, this is interesting, or, I've heard this before, like, yeah, it's my ego. I totally agree. It might be like, ooh, like, I like her hair, or I don't like her hair. Like, it's just constantly judging and assessing. It's judging and assessing. Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this good? Is this bad? Do I agree? Do I disagree? Do I dislike what I'm hearing right now? So can you imagine when you're in conversation with your partner, like everything that's said it's like getting filtered through this little voice, and it's just so not helpful. So yeah, the best way to start working with this voice. Some of you already have, some of you know what you're aware, but we can continue to practice to work with it. So as we go through this workshop, just notice the little voice and see if you can start to separate yourself, which I refer to as your true self or your higher self. Separate yourself from this fear brain, your reactionary brain, your emotional brain, which is that little ego voice. So what is your ego anyway? This is one of my favorite mentors of all time. I'm sure some of you have probably heard of Dr. Nicole LePera. She sums it up really well. So your ego is a created set of beliefs, patterns, and ideas that most people label as your personality or your identity. Your ego is very defensive about your identity. Anything outside of confirmed thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors will be rejected. So that means if your partner shows up with a different opinion, that ego is going to be like, nope, you're wrong. Not even going to be open to listening to it. So your ego's job is literally to defend you and your perceived identity it's worked so hard to create since you were born. The problem with this is, conflict. The problem with this is conflicting opinions is what allows for us to grow. Conflicting opinions or concepts often bring people to a place of anger because the ego feels the most out of control when it's challenged. It feels like an attack on self. Technically it is, but the ego creates the illusion that our opinions and beliefs make you who we are. When presented with new ideas, facts, the ego is in a fragile state and it works overtime to defend us. So why do I share this with you? Well, first of all, your ego voice is part of what's making it really difficult to ditch your defensiveness. Like it is your defender. It's kind of your built-in defender. So it's just helpful to start noticing when it's activated, when it's piping up and trying to defend you. I also share this because I'm here to offer you solutions that help you get different results than you're getting right now in your relationship. And I'm here to make certain you get what you came for. And in order to do that, I am going to present some new ideas that are, founded in research. I'm going to present some information you maybe haven't heard before. And your ego might be like, resisting. I don't want to hear that. Right. So just notice if your defensive ego pops up as I go through this program. This is kind of like a cool interactive way of starting to work through defensiveness, and by noticing if it pops up when new information or new ideas are presented. And as Harriet Lerner says, defensiveness is the arch enemy of listening. So when we're defending, we're not listening, plain and simple. Okay, so to ditch defensiveness and get new results, you must approach tackling it in a new way. So there is a really clear process to moving through this and to ditching your defensiveness. And we're going to focus on approach here today. Okay, so we have two choices on how to approach your defensiveness, right? We've got defensive Debbie, and I lovingly call her defensive Debbie because Debbie was me. This is the old version of me, truly. Like I fully this is very near and dear to my heart. And connected Caroline. So let's look at a defensive Debbie for a second. So defensive Debbie has very strong emotions. She doesn't know how to speak to her partner in a calm, open way when she's triggered, when she's angry or sad or really activated. She's can't get the message out without being intense, right? She feels like she doesn't have control over her defensive reactions and sometimes says hurtful things to her partner that she afterwards regrets. She wants to be able to have effective, productive, connected conversations with her partner, even when emotions are strong. She feels unheard, not listened to, not understood, and her partner doesn't really understand her feelings or reactions. She's also trying to figure it all out on her own. She's read books and articles and listened to podcasts, gets tips from social media, but nothing really seems to work. She's still caught in this kind of pattern of defensiveness. She's also waiting for her partner to say yes to doing couples work with her before she starts doing her own inner work and start shifting her own inner patterns. This means she's also waiting around for her partner to do something so that she can feel better. So she's feeling pretty disempowered. On the other hand, we have Caroline. So Caroline definitely has some strong emotions, but she knows how to intentionally choose her response rather than just blowing up in a defensive reaction. She uses tools to stay calm, present, and open to her partner, even in the most difficult of situations. She does a few small things every day to build up the love, trust, and connection with her partner. And this actually, the stuff that she's doing outside of the conversations can prevent fights from happening. She uses the ditch defensiveness framework that I'm going to be sharing with you here in this program to release resentment, forgive, and let go of old traumas and hurts that are blocking her ability to connect with her partner. She takes responsibility for how she feels and what she needs. She works with a coach to help her see her own blind spots and the inner workings of her subconscious mind so she can release old patterns and limiting beliefs. She feels listened to, understood, prioritized, and loved, and most importantly, connected to her one and only. So this is the deal with Caroline, is her partner wasn't ready to do couples work with her. And so she just decided, I'm going to dive in and start doing this stuff myself. And so she's not waiting around for her partner to do something so that she can feel better. Does that make sense? She's taking responsibility for feeling better. I'm a Debbie Downer. Oh, David. Well, after this workshop, you won't be. So let's look at the problem with couples work. And I am not blaming or shaming or like pointing fingers at couples work. I just want to share with you like some of the things that don't work about it. So, because I know like I over and over again, like, well, what do I do if my partner's doesn't want to, do this work with me? And I just want to give you some peace of mind around this. So, if one person is not fully on board and feeling like they're forced to go to couples work, it's not going to work. They're going to feel pressured, manipulated. It doesn't work when one person's not fully in it. And also it can turn into a blame and taking sides battle. The most effective way for a relationship to shift is when at least one person does their own individual inner work and personal development. And really, if you think about it, if you start shifting the dance you're doing over here, your partner cannot do the same dance that they're doing over there. You shifting shifts the whole dynamic of the relationship. It cannot stay the same. So just to give you a little peace of mind. Okay. And this is Elle. So just sharing a little bit more about how this works. So Elle says, I really didn't know how working on my relationship alone without my boyfriend was going to work, but man, was I blown away by what I started to see happen. When I stopped being so reactive, he also stopped being reactive. Imagine that. I started using the in the moment tools and the NCR process in conversations. And for the first time in a long time, I was able to keep my cool. And so was he. I now totally get how when I change how I show up, he also changes how he shows up. It feels like magic. Thank you, Erica. So just to, give you guys a little hope, like you don't have to have your partner doing this with you. So today you get to choose. Am I going to stay stuck being defensive Debbie, or am I going to move over into being connected Caroline? All right. So why do most relationships fail? There's a million answers to this question, but I like to kind of give you this high level sort of overview of relationships. You really you can understand what the heck is going on here. So they get stuck in the second phase of a relationship, which is called the power struggle. Has anyone ever heard of the power struggle? If not, don't worry, we're going to get into it. So not knowing that you're stuck in the power struggle or how to get out of it is the number one reason why relationships fail. So what's happening in the power struggle? There's a few things happening, but you're probably, I'm sure, guessing that defensiveness, yes, is happening in the power struggle. And defensiveness is one of the 4 predictors of divorce. And this comes from the research of the Gottman Institute. And if you're curious, the other 3 predictors of divorce are criticism, contempt, and stonewalling. So yeah, criticism can provoke defensiveness. Defensiveness can, provoke some stonewalling. They all work together. But today we're just going to focus on defensiveness because I've found this to be when this gets on lock in a relationship, these other things start to subside. Okay, so as you can see, ditching defensiveness is paramount to moving out of the power struggle. So let's look at these 3 phases of relationships so you understand how you got into this power struggle, and how you can start moving out of it and getting out of the repetitive cycle of bickering and fights. And it's like the same fight, different day, different topic, right? It's like Groundhog's Day sometimes. Okay, so we have the honeymoon phase, and the goal is to move through these phases and to get you out of the power struggle. So we have the honeymoon phase. You guys remember this, right? Oh my God. It's like sparks are flying. Magic is in the air. It's all good. Your communication is great. Right? All sorts of sparks, maybe even a little Titanic vibes, who knows, right? So the honeymoon phase, my point is that there's a lot of sweet, care and respect and closeness going on. And you're both showing up 100% for the relationship. It's not this tit for tat scorekeeping 50-50 thing. You're both really showing up for each other. And but however, once this, chemical cocktail of love drugs wears off in your brain, and the initial excitement wears off and we start to get used to each other, we start to see the person for who they are, we start to notice differences that didn't seem to bother us before, but now they're just getting under our skin. And we start to kind of have these little moments of disconnect that don't always get cleaned up. They don't always get completed. And so they kind of turn into these little building blocks of resentment, past hurts, frustration. And without working through them and clearing them out each time, they're kind of building up in the background. And when this happens, we start to move into the second phase of relationship. Like I said, is this power struggle phase where we're experiencing defensiveness, feelings are hurt, we're bickering, we're not coming back and repairing after fights. That's a big one. So in the power struggle, we expect our partner to think and feel like us and behave the way we want, like us, right? And when they don't, or they resist, then we try to control them. We try to force them to meet our needs and expectations. And it can get really sticky in this power struggle. And this is the biggest, if the power struggle had, one sentence to say, this is it. I need you to change so that I can be happy. And it's just, we're really going to dive into this statement today, guys, because it's we're giving away all our power with this statement. So this is where couples get stuck. And this is where relationships end. They get stuck in criticism, judgment, control, belittling, shame, blame, and of course, defensiveness. So here's the goal. This is what we're doing. Of course, I know you're all here because you are yeah, I want to ditch my defensiveness, but I want to show you this higher level, paint this vision of where we're headed in this process. So moving into phase 3, which I call connected love. Some people call it true love. So yeah, I'm not only teaching you how to ditch your defensiveness, I'm also teaching you how to ditch the power struggle and move into healthy, lasting, connected love. Okay, so if you've been thinking in your relationship, if you're kind of exhausted and you're this can't be it, there's got to be more. How do I get out of this cycle of bickering, fights, and hurt feelings? I'm not willing to settle for how my relationship is right now. I want more. I want love. I want connection. I want peace. You're in the right place. We are moving you into connected love. This is one step you can take to moving into this phase. So, okay, you guys, I love the emotions. I'm all for it. And I just want to say that this is real work here, and emotions might come up. And thank you for sharing, Kay. So let those emotions come up. Listen to them. They all have a message. This is part of this work, is this emotional resiliency, this emotional maturity, intelligence, whatever you want to call it. And the tears are great. They're little messengers. They're also releasing some of the stuff that we've just been like carrying around with us. Okay. So just love those emotions, love them, feel it, heal it, is what I say. Okay. So let's just look quickly here at the difference between the power struggle and connected love, so you can really get a sense. So power struggle, defensiveness, unhealed triggers, blame, criticism, contempt, withholding, control, competing. You guys, I'm sure, again, like me being the defensive queen, right? Like the need to be right. My last name is right, for Christ's sake. Like I need to be right all the time. I mean, I don't anymore, but I thought I did. My ego thought I did, right? God. And so I do have a habit of saying right. I've been called out for it on TikTok. I'm working on it, guys. So yeah, there's lack of respect, lack of recognition, lack of trust and care. There's punishing. Like we get sneaky. We turn into little sneaky snakes in the grass sometimes. And we're like, we'll say things that we know push our partner's buttons and we'll say it anyway. Punishing, right? It doesn't feel good. I mean, it might feel good right in the moment, but it doesn't feel good after. Manipulating, gaslighting, guilt, shame, attachment, being attached to your partner changing, attached to them being a certain way. There's also a lot of self-abandonment and self-sacrifice in the power struggle, where we're giving up our own needs and not speaking our truth and setting our feelings and desires aside. There's fear. And ultimately there's disconnection happening here, disconnection from yourself and from your partner. Connected love. So the opposite of defensiveness is responsibility. And in that, we're being curious and open. We're working to heal our triggers. We have the ability to regulate and self-soothe our emotions, and we can intentionally respond from love. We're taking responsibility for our emotions. That's what we're doing here in connected love. Understanding and validating, gratitude, appreciation, collaboration. I mean, gosh, how long has it been since you guys have really felt like a team? Collaboration, commitment, compassion, feeling respected and appreciated, feeling cared for and loved, peace, emotional safety, giving to each other, showing up and serving each other, acceptance, empowerment, love, and unmesswithable connection. So that is what is available to you. And I know some of you have shared with me that you're a little resigned and cynical about this, but it's there and it's available. And that's the work that I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to share. And again, this is the main difference is this one sentence between the power struggle and connected love. This one sentence: I need you to change so that I can feel better and be happy. I want to free you from this thought or belief and show you how to do this work regardless of what's going on around you, with your partner, with work, with kids, like all the stresses of life. We're coming back home to you. Okay. So yeah, remember defensive Debbie and connected Caroline, right? The main difference is Debbie is in the power struggle and Caroline has moved into connected love. So, yeah. So now that you know that you don't need couples work to transform your relationship or to feel better, there are actually 3 phases of relationship, and there is a roadmap for getting out of the power struggle and into connected love. And in order to move out of the power struggle, you gotta ditch that defensiveness. And also just a reminder about that ego. Your ego is designed to defend you. So we must kind of manage that voice inside your head. Okay, so the ditch defensiveness method, this is what we're going to start to get into today. And yeah, this is what I designed for myself originally years ago, to like when I was at my own kind of rock bottom in so many of my relationships, and was like, oh, wow, the common denominator is me. Okay, let's take a look at myself here. So I designed this for myself. And this is also the process that I work with in my one-on-one coaching sessions and in my group program. So here we go. 4-step ditch defensiveness method. The first piece here is to realize. So we're looking at this is just like the awareness phase. And just by being here today and like already like the last bit of time here, like you're already in this, phase here, which congratulations. So looking at like, what is defensiveness? Where does it come from? Where is it created? Like, what is this all about? Like really just the awareness of how to move through this. So let's kind of dive into this step one here. So the best way to stop being defensive is to first understand what exactly it is, the purpose it serves, and where and why you learned the habit. I talk about defensiveness as a habit because it's a behavioral habit. And because it's a habit, like any other habit, we can unlearn it. So yeah, we're going to give you some, awareness, shine some light into your internal mental and emotional world. And understanding where you learned your defensiveness will also make it very easy to stop blaming your partner and to take responsibility for your own emotions, triggers, and defensiveness. Okay. So what the heck is it really? Like, we're working with this. We all have an idea of what defensiveness is. But for the purpose of this training, I'm going to define it. So we all are on the same page of what the heck it actually is. So is it a feeling? Is it a behavior? Like, what is it? Right? So defensiveness can be a little bit of a confusing concept, in part because we use it to describe two related but distinct, things: defensiveness as a feeling and defensiveness as a behavior. So when people talk about feeling defensive, it usually refers to how we feel emotionally after someone criticizes us, or we perceive that they're being critical. It usually involves a collection of feelings, feeling hurt and sad, maybe ashamed and angry. But when we also talk about defensiveness, it describes also the actions we take after feeling attacked or criticized. For example, we criticize back. We say something sarcastic or snarky. We give someone the silent treatment. Those are all like behavioral examples of defensiveness. So today, and I like to I find the most helpful thing is to look at defensiveness as an action or behavior, not necessarily as a feeling. And here's why. So there's two reasons for this. So using the term defensiveness to describe how you feel can actually be unhelpful. We often use overly intellectual or conceptual language to describe how we feel as a subtle avoidance strategy. So saying I felt defensive feels a little less scary than saying I felt sad and ashamed. In general, it's a good idea to avoid intellectualizing your emotions and use plain emotional language. Like I call it 4-year-old language. Like, how are you really feeling underneath that shield of defensiveness? So using defensiveness to describe your behavior is more helpful because your behavior is the only thing you really have direct control over. If you're working on improving your relationships by being less defensive, you want to make sure that you're working on something you can actually change. That makes sense, right? Because sometimes we get triggered into defensiveness. We have this fight, flight, freeze, even fawn response. And sometimes it like comes on before we can even do anything about it, right? So the behavior is what we're going to look at here. So yeah, while you can't actually change how you feel directly sometimes in the moment, you can always change what you do and your response. So now that we got that straight, let's define this. Let's define this bad boy. So defensiveness is a coping strategy where we attempt to shift focus away from our own faults, insecurities, or fears. So think about that, a coping strategy. Defensiveness is a type of emotional trigger. A trigger is any word, person, event, or experience that touches off an immediate emotional reaction. For example, sadness, depression, anger, aggression, fear, panic, humiliation, or shame. This is interesting. This isn't really talked about much. A trigger can also be a stimulus arousing joy, erotic excitement, or optimism. So triggers can work in both ways. And I just want to point that out because you can actually show up for your partner in a way that triggers openness, peace, calm, love. We can use triggers in our advantage. They're not always like this, doesn't always have to be referred to as this bad, scary thing. So defensiveness, also it's a habit, a pattern, it's a learned behavior. Note on triggers. So, yeah, I just want, like, defensiveness is a trigger. It's a special category of trigger. And so, as we go through this work too, this is all about examining these triggers, whether it's defensiveness or shame or, whatever comes up for you. It's like that. And for you, I know it's like, the good triggers, the feel good triggers of like happiness and joy and excitement. That's not a problem. That's not what we're focusing on, obviously. Like I know, okay, you get a promotion or something that can trigger excitement in you. We're going to be focusing on the ones that feel not so good today. So yeah, triggers are emotional reactions. The triggers that feel badly, such as defensiveness, are letting us know where there is lack, shame, or insecurity lingering in our subconscious mind. Anytime we're triggered, when defensiveness is triggered, this is our internal emotional GPS alerting us that something needs to be addressed here. The same types of triggers will show up over and over again until you choose to observe them, learn the lesson they're offering, and heal them. Every time we use our triggers as our teachers, we expand, we heal, we move closer to becoming our most whole, complete, and authentic self. So lots of triggers work we're going to be diving into. Note on triggers. Oh, Oprah. So just reiterating this, that a lesson will keep repeating itself until it is learned. Life first will send the lesson to you in the size of a pebble. If you ignore the pebble, then life will send it to you as a brick. If you ignore the brick, life will send it to you as a brick wall. If you ignore the brick wall, life will send you a demolition truck. Okay. So it's like, these things get stronger and stronger, and they keep knocking and keep knocking. And this is like why in relationships, like there's a little annoyance and there's like another little annoyance, another little thing, right? And these building blocks start to build until we just freaking explode. So that's what I want to prevent here today, is like prevent that buildup of triggers and emotions. Okay, so the types of defensiveness and defensive archetypes. So you guys are probably gonna maybe resonate with some of these as well. And you'll probably also be able to point out your partner in some of these. Okay. So we have the fighter. The fighter is fighting to be heard, listened to, understood, and, really like fighting to be loved and prioritized and cared for and appreciated. They might accuse the other person. Like if your partner comes to you and is like, you do blah, 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 they might like point a finger back and accuse them of doing the same thing. The fighter also sometimes is called the explainer, because they might try to explain or justify why they did what they did and why it's okay. This also, like the intention defender, play hand in hand. So the intention defender explains, proves, rationalizes, justifies. They're defending their intention. So they're missing the impact that they had on the partner because they're so busy defending themselves, defending like, my intentions were good. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it that way. It's not that big of a deal. Like, right. So yes, you get it. Okay. The blamer, they blame the other person for what they are criticizing you about. So shifting blame, avoiding responsibility and accountability. They'll shift the blame to the other person, for whatever you're being criticized. So they might say like, well, it's your fault. I did this. I did that because of you, like you, blah, 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 blah. So the counter criticizer, the counter criticizer will say things like, well, you never da, 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 da. They will, again, it's like another form of counterattack. And the counter criticizer might also bring up the past sometimes. Then we have the minimizer. Sometimes this can blend with gaslighting. So the minimizer will tell the other person that they shouldn't feel the way that they do. It's not that big of a deal. They'll say things like, you're so sensitive. It didn't happen that way. You're not thinking clearly or logically about this. I don't know why you're so mad about this. It's really like, it just doesn't make sense that you're so mad. Like it's such a little thing. The minimizer will have the tendency to intellectualize. So they'll focus on logic of the situation and completely avoid looking at the emotional impact that their actions have had on their partner. Okay, the stonewaller. So the stonewaller, this is kind of like the turtle. This is the turtle actually. So they're like the silent treatment kind of type. They don't want to talk about it. They might even say, I don't want to talk about it. I don't have time to talk about it. This person probably like sometimes avoidant attachment styles. If you're familiar with that, the stonewaller will sometimes be the avoidant attachment style. The innocent victim. So agreeing with the criticism, but like, yeah, let's see how to explain it. So the innocent victim like agrees with the criticism, but then, cries and blames yourself in order to make the other person feel guilty and elicit sympathy. So they're doing this, like playing this kind of like hurt victim role to prevent anything else from being thrown their way from their partner. They might say things like, I can never do it right. I'm so awful. The avoidant agreeer. So, the avoidant agreeer might say things like, yeah, I suck. I'm awful. You're right. Can we move on now? They'll use sarcasm and humor to deflect their partner. Or to protect. Yeah. So they're kind of just like, yeah, whatever, let's move on. Like there's sort of that rug sweeper. And yes, you can be a mixture. You can definitely be a mixture. Your partner can be a mixture. This is your defensive toolkit that you're currently using, guys. Like all sorts of tools that you can pull from here to use just at the very right moment. So we're going to ditch these tools and I'm going to give you a new set of tools. Then we have the righteous rationalizer. So acting as though you should not be questioned on this topic it's kind of like saying that, well, I work so hard and like I provide for this family, or, giving excuses for why, I can't spend time with the family. Like they'll definitely give excuses and act like, who are you to question me on this? The past digger. This is a big one, and really harmful and painful for relationships. So the past digger will bring up past things that the other person did wrong to avoid talking about the current issue. The pleaser. So the pleaser, this one also is sometimes overlooked. So this is this fawn response. Like when we look at the stress responses, fight, flight, freeze, there's also this fawn response. So this is typically somebody who has codependent tendencies. They might also fall into an anxious attachment style. And they'll like do anything to just like calm and fix the situation. And this person is actually conflict avoidant. They like don't want to like really talk about it. They just want to like, love and just kind of like calm the situation. And that's their way of moving through this. Okay. So all of these archetypes have different strategies, right? Different strategies of defensiveness, but they actually have one thing in common, which is really important to look at here and to realize. They all have one thing in common. They're all using defensiveness as a way to feel better. Everything we do, everything we don't do is all in an effort to feel better. Even the stuff that we're doing that leaves us not feeling better, there's still a part of us in there, our ego maybe, that is like, okay, this is going to make me feel better. Like this is where we get stuck in self-sabotaging patterns or habits. Like there's still a part of us, even though our conscious mind is like, this isn't going to make you feel better. There's still a part of us that's like just trying to feel better. It's a coping mechanism. So all of these archetypes are trying to avoid feeling shame, guilt, rejection, judgment, insecurity, or lack of worthiness. They're all seeking understanding, validation, compassion, love, security, and connection. Human beings are so simple, you guys. We want to feel good and avoid feeling badly. And we use defensiveness to do that. Defensiveness is a coping strategy where sometimes we can even attack the other person in order to shift focus away from our own faults and insecurities. When someone points out a mistake we've made, or otherwise, maybe they're saying something critical about us, it hurts. This is completely understandable and natural. And, we all make mistakes, but we will avoid feeling the pain of, and like the shame or guilt of making those mistakes. We use defensiveness to distract ourselves from the feeling of hurt. By criticizing the person back, we shift the attention to the other person's mistakes or faults, thereby temporarily feeling a little less badly about ourselves. And at the end of the day, defensiveness is nothing more than a way to feel better. Unfortunately, as you guys know, you're here for a reason. Those feel-good effects are usually short-lived and frequently lead to feeling much worse in the long run. So the moment you stop judging and resisting your defensiveness, emotions, and reactivity is the moment you open up space for change. We are so hard on ourselves, and I really invite you to be compassionate as we move through this and as you start to examine this defensiveness stuff. There's no such thing as overreactive or too emotional. There's just not. All your feelings are valid and welcome, even when they come out of nowhere and maybe don't make sense to you or your partner. Your partner does not need to fully understand your emotions for them to be valid. So go ahead and feel all the feels, feel all of them. Let those emotions flow. We are emotional beings. It's great. However, this comes with an and. The and is feel all the feels, and we have the response ability to choose how we react and speak to our partner, even when we're feeling all the feels, even when emotions are strong, even when we're triggered. Emotions are not a problem. However, our actions can be. So this is where your responsibility comes into play. And just as a reminder, we're treating the root, not the symptom of your defensiveness here. And in order to do this, we've got to examine the limiting beliefs and thoughts that are holding us back from getting the results that we want. So, lovely Einstein, one of my favorite quotes, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So let's start looking at some of these thoughts that might be keeping you stuck in defensiveness. So one of the biggest thoughts that I've seen over and over and over and over and over again with all the people I've worked with, not all of them, but this is so prevalent. So I got to talk about it, clear it out of the way. So the biggest thought that might be keeping you stuck in your defensiveness is blame. So blame is most people's number one reason why they're unhappy in their relationships and even lives in general. So what exactly is blame? I define blame as willingly handing over all of your power to someone else. This is so important to start to see, because as long as this dynamic is alive in your relationship, it's living as a blind spot, and it will continue to dramatically block the flow of connection available between you and your partner, and it will stop you from releasing defensiveness. So when you say, it's not me, it's you, something happens. They say something or do something and you feel annoyed. And then you point a big old finger at them and say, you're the reason I feel frustrated. You're the reason I'm mad. You're the reason I'm hurt. And in that moment, you just made the entire situation their fault, something they have to fix, which means there is nothing for you to do because it's not your fault, right? So when there's blame, we sit back and we wait for them to change. We give up all of our power to this other person who you're actually really annoyed with and don't really like right now. You're giving all your power over to them. to come save the day for you and fix the situation and make you feel better. The moment you stop blaming and take responsibility, you render yourself powerless. The moment you stop blaming and take responsibility, you take your power back. It's so important, because when we're stuck in blame, you miss the lesson. You miss the opportunity to grow. In every trigger, there is a lie or false belief within you. There's something there to heal or integrate. If you don't learn the lesson, that trigger will keep getting hit over and over again. It's like, this is those buttons we have, those old bruises that our partner keeps pushing. We can go back and heal those bruises by taking a look at our triggers, at our defensiveness. And this is going on all over the place. These triggers are happening everywhere, with your kids, in-laws, at work, with the neighbor across the street, with your boss, clients. Like I said, you can't stop these triggers, and they're going to keep showing up until they are cared for, until we integrate these pieces that have gone neglected and uncared for. So, which is why when you take your power back, you can say this instead. You can say, it's not you, it's me. This puts you back in the driver's seat of your own life. It gives you all your power back and actually allows you the space to step up and do something for yourself and create how you want to feel in your relationship. And most importantly, it gives you the responsibility back for how you feel. Since your thoughts create your feelings, which is proven in cognitive behavioral science, you no longer have to wait for someone or something outside of you to change in order for you to be happy. So this work is all about empowering you to take control of how you feel and create some new results in your relationship and in your life. No longer do you have to wait for some circumstance outside of you to change. So this statement too is just a good reminder. Just because it's not your fault does not mean you don't have the responsibility to fix it or change things. And just wanted to share a few words from another one of my clients. So she says, I spent 5 years miserable, disempowered, stuck in blaming my partner for our relationship not working. I blamed him for how I felt, which was mostly resentful and lonely. As soon as I finally got that I didn't need him to change to make me happy, I felt more free than I felt in a decade. I was able to completely shift everything for myself. I started thinking differently. I started talking to myself differently. I started speaking to my boyfriend differently. I did the forgiveness formula and emotional mastery audio daily. And that's what really helped me leave the resentment behind and start living my life again, empowered, happier than ever, and able to show my daughter what it looks like and feels like to take responsibility and take control of my own emotional well-being without relying on my partner to change. So big things. Also being able to model this for our children as well. When you stop thinking your partner is to blame for your feelings and defensive actions, you'll take all your power back and you can start to ditch your defensiveness. Okay, so where does it come from? How do we learn it? Let's just take a look at this. So now that you're clear that you can take this matters into your own hands here, let's get into the juice of where this comes from. So yeah, and on a basic level, this defensiveness there's some sort of fear, there's some sort of insecurity going on in the background. And sometimes like that turns into a habit. So it feels really automatic. So I was the firstborn child. It was not easy. If my brother and I ended up in tears over something, I was typically the one that got blamed and got the scolding, regardless of whose fault it was. And I'm just going to take a sip of water. So when a child or person is blamed, shamed, or criticized for making a mistake over and over again, they'll start to come up with a way to protect themselves against the perceived attack. We teach our children early to defend themselves, unbeknownst to the parent, and then get furious when they do, claiming they never take responsibility for themselves, right? So blame specifically provokes defensive behavior, because blame can lead to that embedded shame that causes the child to believe he or she is not good. So what was it like growing up for you? What were your parents or primary caretakers like? And I invite you guys to jot a few notes down if you do have a pen and paper or some notes, and start to think about this stuff. Start to kind of look like, what are the real roots of my defensiveness that are showing up in my relationship today? Were your parents critical or controlling or strict, judgmental, absent, or maybe just emotionally absent? How was communication modeled to you? How was conflict modeled to you? Did you watch your parents fight? And how did you defend yourself as a child? Were you the thunderstorm or the turtle? And kids go both ways, and sometimes you're a mix. I was definitely the thunderstorm. And you know what my brother learned, my little brother, watching me be the thunderstorm and getting so much punishment and yelling and all the stuff, right, that happened. Guess what? He learned that being the turtle was probably a better option, because he could defend himself that way by shrinking. But neither of these are really effective. So start to kind of look at this stuff. So another example, even if you had this perfect, beautiful childhood, which I have such an amazing relationship with my parents. I love my parents. They're so amazing. On the outside, it looks like I did have this perfect childhood, but even in these like together families, there's still stuff going on internally that we don't see and we tend to overlook. So even if you did have, if you don't think that there's anything from childhood, which I would challenge you on that, but even if you didn't, right, like there's other instances, if it wasn't happening at home, maybe at school. So bullying, right? So another example where defensiveness arises is bullies. So most bullies are not awful humans who enjoy inflicting pain on others for no reason. Instead, most bullying is a response to being bullied. It's a defense mechanism for feeling weak or insecure. The kid who gets criticized and bullied by a parent at home ends up bullying other kids at school. So why does this happen? Because when you're bullied, it often makes you feel small and weak. And if you don't have a healthier way of feeling better and feeling strong and competent, picking on other people can give the illusion of power, security, and high self-worth. Oh, I'm going to go back to this slide so you can just capture this, and you can feel free to screen grab this as well. I'm going to open this window because it is getting hot in here while you grab that. Okay, good, got it. Okay, so defensiveness can almost always be tracked back to thoughts or beliefs of low self-worth. So I'm going to share with you an example of how this can kind of play out. And this is interesting. I think this will pertain to a lot of you, and see if you can see yourself in this example, because this isn't like digging up past childhood stuff. Because I know sometimes that is, that can be intense work to do. So let's look at defensiveness and just like in the last year or two, what's been going on in your life. Okay. So I have a client, we'll call him Max. So he knew that defensiveness was a problem, but he didn't really understand it and like couldn't pinpoint where it came from. Interestingly, for most of Max's marriage and really most of his life, defensiveness had not been an issue. It only started up in the last couple of years. When I asked Max about any major changes in his life around that time, he initially couldn't think of anything. But with a little probing, I discovered something kind of interesting here. So right around the time when Max started getting defensive at home, he was passed up for a promotion at work. And it really hit him hard. In fact, Max described how after missing out on the promotion, his whole attitude around work began to get really negative. He started telling himself that he was undervalued and unappreciated, and that his bosses didn't like him. That he even was like, I think I've picked the wrong career. I'm so sorry about this coughing, guys. I'm like really struggling over here to keep my voice up here. Yeah. So at work, Max is feeling stupid and incompetent. And he'd sometimes also get caught up in these sort of downward spirals of negative thoughts and negative emotions. So things started to get pretty clear as we started to unpack this. Max started getting more defensive at home exactly around the same time when his self-worth took a major hit at work. Coincidence? I think not. When Max was already feeling discouraged, overly criticized, and insecure at work, even a little bit of criticism at home felt very defeating. His wife, nor Max, understood why such a little request or comment would trigger him to explode at her. Previously, when Max was feeling secure and confident at work, bits of sarcasm at home didn't have much of an effect on him. But after missing the promotion, his confidence and self-esteem were totally shaken, and he became much more vulnerable and sensitive to any type of criticism, especially from his wife, which is the person he loves most and cares most about her thoughts about him and her opinion of him. So how did Max work through his defensiveness? Interestingly enough, we did not focus much at all on his wife or their communication. Instead, we focused on his attitude and confidence at work. It turns out, once we kind of got into this and he had the courage to talk to his bosses again, that he had been passed up, like the passing up of the promotion had been an accident. And he actually started making moves to reapply for this promotion, and he ended up getting it. Thanks to some thought work there, looking at like what is going on here. So as soon as Max's confidence was restored at work, his defensiveness with his wife almost ceased to be an issue. So, the moral of the story is when we feel confident, safe, and secure and worthy, there is nothing to defend. We have compassion for ourselves when we mess up, right? We're far less reactive because we're in this secure emotional state. And this also happened for another one of my clients, Marissa, who shared with me that she was realizing being defensive with her partner. And this was also affecting work stuff. And she shares that she realized that she actually had pretty low confidence at work. And in working together, right, we were able to kind of get to this turning point and move back into this higher level of self-worth, which of course affected how she showed up at work and affected how she showed up in her relationship. So again, another question, another journaling prompt you guys can take down here is, what are some areas you might be feeling insecure or unworthy? Is there any area where you're not believing in yourself? Or maybe you don't trust yourself? Maybe you're not feeling confident. Could be at work, around your ability to make money, provide to your family, ability to be a good parent. I see this in a lot of with like new parents where the mom is typical, or maybe it's the dad, but really it seems to be the mom in a lot of people that I work with, like where the mom's like the primary parent and maybe the dad's working outside of the house, and defensiveness like really starts to show up in that new parent dynamic. And even like the mom has like you typically sometimes, or whoever's in charge mostly of the kids, has like a certain way of doing things. And even like a request like, oh, hey, could you like put the diaper on that way, right, can trigger defensiveness in the parent who is not the primary stay-at-home parent, because they're feeling incompetent when the I mean, I'm just going to say mom because it typically is the mom, right? When the mom's like, hey, can you blah, 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 or, you know, would you do it this way or whatever it is, it's like each time that's like a hit to the dad's or the other parent's confidence level. And yeah, it's going to be met with some defensiveness there. So yeah, just start to kind of look at some areas of life. We like really want to kind of tune into this insecurity, which can feel uncomfortable. But that's part of this work, is being able, this part of this emotional mastery, as I call it, is like, okay, like I'm going to lean into these uncomfortable feelings, even the defensiveness. I'm going to lean in, I'm going to allow them, I'm going to let them be there, because these emotions all have messages for us. They all have something to say. When we start listening to our body, these emotions start releasing. We stop being so afraid of our big emotions, our triggers, our reactions. When we can just have that self-confidence, it's like, I have what it takes to manage this feeling. I don't need to avoid it or shove it under the rug. Any insecurities, you know, around your lifestyle, around habits, around your body, around, I mean, gosh, we are just so hard on ourselves, but just really get present to this. Oop. Let's see. There we go. So then, yeah, once you have some of those areas down, just check in. How are those areas of insecurity or low self-worth impacting your relationship? You know, what impact does your defensiveness have on your partner? What impact does it have on your ability to feel listened to or validated? What's at stake here? You know, what's at stake if this defensiveness continues? What might it cost you? Okay. So these phases, right? Like this is the goal here. Just as a reminder, we're moving from here to here. Okay. Let's look at this step 2 here, which is release. So we already kind of started doing this a little bit, but yeah, like really releasing any securities and beliefs around not being good enough. That little voice inside your head that says, you're inadequate, you're not lovable, you're not worthy. You don't deserve the love you want. What does that little voice tell you every day or some days? Just starting again to notice it and to realize this isn't true. This isn't actually my voice. So starting to release some of these past hurts or false beliefs you picked up in childhood, and, you know, anything else that you're feeling vulnerable and insecure about, you've got to start noticing and releasing these pieces. The other huge thing you'll need to release is any lingering resentment you might be holding on for yourself or your partner. If you believe that your partner is at fault for your pain, you will not feel safe with them. Right? So when we're defensive, it's because we don't feel safe. That's like, we don't feel safe and we feel insecure in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, if you're still pointing a finger at your partner and haven't forgiven something, your subconscious mind is still like, oh, they're unsafe. Even if your conscious mind is like, no, they're my partner, I love them, they're safe. Like, we got to clear this stuff out. So we must forgive them and stop blaming them for our pain. This is where taking responsibility and realizing like, wow, you know, I really do have power over my emotions. And I can free my partner of being the bad guy here. So I can start to be open instead of defensive, right? Okay. So step 3 is respond. And this is a big one. So this is where you're learning, you're building up and learning how to master your emotions so you can intentionally choose a response rather than blowing up in a defensive reaction at your partner. So let me tell you a little story. This is kind of funny, but So the other day I was hiking at dusk without my contacts in. And let me tell you that when it starts to get dark, my vision starts to go. And I'm starting to sense that there, like, as I'm walking, I'm starting to sense that there's something out in the road in front of me, out in the middle of the trail. And my brain's going like, oh my God, like it's a coyote, it's a mountain lion, like, and it kind of, the size of it really did look like a coyote. And I had seen some a few days before. So I'm just like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And I can feel my body triggering into fight, flight, freeze, stress response, right? My heart is pounding out of my chest. My adrenaline's pulsing through my veins. My hands are shaking. I'm freaking out. And I whip my phone out, get the flashlight, and I'm kind of like looking, right? And guess what? It's a dead bush, kind of shaped and sized like a coyote, right in the middle of the trail. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm still kind of like in freak out mode. So here's what's really interesting about this. Even though at that point, I realized it was a bush with my light, right? My logical brain knew it was a bush. I knew I was safe. I knew I was totally safe. We're all good, right? My body was 100 steps down the stress reaction rabbit hole. And it took me all about 5 seconds from thinking it was a coyote to figuring out it was a bush, but it took my body 5 to 7 minutes to get my heart rate back down to normal. When our defensive stress response fires, our emotional brain needs time to catch up to our logical brain so it can calm down. But here's the real problem to all of this. When you and your partner start to get into it, and your defensiveness or their defensiveness gets triggered at the 5-minute mark, when, my body was finally calmed back down and my emotions were back down to neutral, at the 5-minute mark, when you're like in that heated conversation with your partner, you still think your partner is a coyote that's going to attack you. In fact, your ego voice has convinced you that they're already attacking you. They're attacking your identity. Your self-worth is in danger. You're like in that fight or flight response mode. And we'll continue to protect ourselves by throwing verbal fireballs at that coyote, who is actually just a bush. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. So yeah, as long as we're stuck in blame and we haven't forgiven, and we're pointing fingers saying, you're the one that is making me feel XYZ, right? Like, we still think our partner is the scary coyote, but I want you to start thinking about your partner as this like just neutral bush. Even when they're reactive, when they're critical, when they're speaking in a tone you don't like, we can still treat your partner as a bush. This is how you start to take responsibility for your defensiveness, is like, okay, they're just a bush over there. Like, no, and you come up with whatever you want, a plant, a leaf, a tree, something neutral that's like non-scary. And this isn't for your logical brain, guys. Your logical brain knows, but your emotional reactive brain is going to need some time to calm back down. Okay, so here's a tool we can use for this, the NCR tool. And so much of this is emotional regulation and emotional mastery that we're diving into here. So this is a tool that you can use to, like, in the moment when things are getting feisty, you can use this. And it sounds so simple. I want you to notice if your ego's like, this is like too easy, Erica. Let it be easy. I invite you to let it be easy. Okay. So N is for notice. So just notice get into the habit of noticing yourself getting triggered. Like, sometimes we are 10 fireball throws out of the mouth down the road before we even really notice that we're in that reactionary state. So notice, calm. In this calm state, this is where it's like, okay, feeling defensive here, feeling triggered, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to move into this. The next little piece is, like, as soon as you notice, you can start calming down your body. You can start calming down your mind, and really, like, for me, breath is the best way to slow down your activated brain and body. Taking one slow, deep breath brings you back into the present moment. Because when you're in a trigger response, you're in the past. You're usually in the past, like, this has been said before. It's triggering, it's activating something where you felt, if your partner is criticizing you, right? It's like, it's reactivating times in the past when you've been criticized and felt shameful. So we're coming back into the present, taking a long, deep breath. Taking a deep breath also allows you to maximize the moment in between stimulus and response. It's like literally slowing down time there for yourself. The other things that I like to use here when you're in this calm is literally just saying to yourself, and you're going to have to find your own thing that works. But what I say to myself is, it's okay. You're safe. I love you. It's okay. You're safe. I love you. You can even grip your hands or pinch your hands together. Like, you just want to get back into your body. Anything to do to get back into the room. You can even name a few things around the room. Just come back so you can start to get out of that trigger response. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. I know it doesn't seem like it sometimes, but I promise you there is. And in that space is our power to choose a response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So then we have this response. We have an ability to respond. This is the response ability that is built into every human system. You can choose how you want to show up here. And you can practice ahead of time what you might say to your partner. And it might even just be like, I'm feeling triggered. Like, let them in on your experience. Like, my heart is beating out of my chest. I'm feeling a little crazy right now, a little funky. I'm feeling activated. Can we just pause for, 5 minutes and come back to this conversation while I emotionally regulate here? So here's what's going on. I'm a little nerdy. I like to let you know what's going on in your brain. Some of you know this, I know, and it's a good reminder to just look at this. So, we're looking at this prefrontal cortex and this little, reptilian brain in the back here. So this is your logical mind. Your logical mind actually, when you're triggered, when you're getting defensive, when you're in that fight or flight response, your prefrontal cortex, your logical mind starts to go offline, and it shuts down, right? Because this emotional reactionary brain is like, you're under attack. Your life is in danger. Like, we need you to move quickly and move fast and respond. And, instead of, in caveman days, like fight mode, like instead of throwing your dagger at the lion, right? We're throwing our words as daggers at our partner as quick as possible because we think we're under attack. So, this is also why it's completely useless to try to be all logical and talk things out logically when either you or your partner is triggered. Logic does not apply when you're in a triggered state. It's just literally your logical brain's offline. So that's really important. Nothing gets solved inside the moment of trigger. Things don't get solved there. Things get solved outside of that trigger moment. Maybe this happens, and then we come back and talk about it when we're both calm, cool, and collected, when our logical brain is actually back online. So your true self voice lives here up in the logic. Your ego voice, of course, is in that emotional defense brain. Okay. And for those of you who do have to go, that is totally fine. This will be emailed to you so you can watch the second half. No problem. Okay. So again, how do you know if you're calm? You're calm if you have the 4 C's going on. You're clear, collaborative, compassionate, and connected with your partner. So defensiveness increases the chance of individual survival, but dramatically decreases the chance of relationship survival. And remember that Dr. John Gottman's research that could predict divorce by 82 to 92% accuracy deemed that defensiveness is one of the main, 4 predictors of divorce. Okay, last step here is reflect. So every time you're triggered or defensive, you want to go back and reflect upon what just happened and get curious about the roots of that trigger. This is how we start to reprogram your subconscious mind. We start to reprogram the habit. We're ditching the habit of defensiveness and starting to learn and program the habit of emotional regulation, of calm, and of openness. Oh my gosh, sorry, I'm laughing at the chat. Okay, so when we get defensive, it's important to recognize that it's an indication of an old wound being triggered. That wound probably came from childhood, and your partner is reactivating a deep inner feeling of being criticized, attacked, rejected, or feeling like you're not good enough. The more awareness we have to our past and how it currently drives us, the easier it is to work with our triggers and actually start to learn the lesson, heal, grow, and rewrite our emotional reactions to past circumstances so they don't keep showing up in our present and future relationships. This work is about finally leaving the past in the past so that we can stop dragging our past into the future. It's about deep awareness, responsibility, and creating beautifully connected relationships with yourself and others. So in this reflection process, you guys can screenshot this as well. This is what you do outside of the moment. This is what I call an outside of the moment tool. We have inside of the moment tools. We're actually in conversation with your partner. We have outside the moment tools. This is one of them where you're going back and reflecting. And you can do this on your own journaling. If you work with a therapist, you can definitely do this work with them, a coach, a counselor, even a friend. Being able to kind of talk through this is really helpful. So the reflection process here is name it. So name and acknowledge that emotion that's underneath defensiveness. I invite you to stop using defensiveness as a way of how you feel and actually look what's underneath. What's that sensitive underbelly emotion? Shame, insecurity, whatever that is. Okay, so then you're going to write it. So why am I triggered? What happened? What is the circumstance? What is my surface level story about why I'm triggered? Uncover it. What is really going on here? Like what's actually going on? What's the story I'm telling about myself or about them? Is there, what am I lacking? Listen to it. This is really big. This is part of the somatic work that I do with my clients, is like tuning into your body and finding where that emotions are just vibrations running through your body. So where is it? What's the sensation? Is it like tightness in your chest? Is it like a heaviness on your shoulders? Is it a buzzing in your head? So really bring it back to the body, so you can feel it and heal it. And ask yourself, like, what is that emotion? What's the message? What is it trying to tell me? What do I need more of? What am I lacking? Where am I self-abandoning? And then track it. So where from the past have I most needed whatever you feel is lacking, like if it's a lack of security or a lack of respect, like, who did I need this from? Maybe for me, it was always my mom that always came, all this stuff, all can be tracked back to my mama. I love her so much, so much. She did her best with the tools that she had. That's what parents do. But yeah, like when have I felt this before? Does this bring up a memory? So that's that reflection process. I want to invite you to move your focus from what is happening, like in the present with your partner, and look at why it's happening. This is where you can really start to go back to the original root and heal it, so it stops showing up in your present with your partner. This is an interesting one. I don't know if you guys know about imago theory. I won't get into it too much, but oftentimes we find and attract partners that embody the parent we had the most ish with growing up. And so when our partner, like for me, in one of my past relationships, my partner would always be like, tell me what to do in the kitchen. And, was in my opinion, critical of me in the kitchen, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Like I was fighting when I would fight back and defend myself with him, I was actually defending myself against my mom. So think about that. When you're fighting with your partner, are you actually fighting with your mom, your dad, whoever that person was, where you kind of butt heads growing up? Like this is this re-triggering of the past that we gotta put an end to. So when we see where the origins of the trigger came from, we can heal that original wound from the past and show up better in our relationships in the present and in the future. So here is this complete 4-step ditch defensiveness method: realize, release, respond, reflect. And like I said earlier, I want to make an offer to you guys, and I want to invite you into doing this work at a deeper level. I'm excited to introduce you to the ditch defensiveness solution. So this is for those of you who are like, whoa, I really want to dive in deeper to this work. I'm like tired of trying to figure this out on my own. I've read the books, I've listened to the podcasts, like I've done the journaling, and I'm still like, there's still stuff that feels incomplete. So the ditch defensiveness solution is my 4-week coaching program. And in this 4-week container, we will dive into everything you need to know to finally release your defensiveness and heal your triggers. So both you and your partner can feel respected, understood, cared for, prioritized, seen, heard, and of course, deeply connected to one another. The purpose of conversation is to deepen connection. The purpose of communication, I want you to start thinking about communication with your partner, is all in an effort to deepen connection. So I'm just going to share with you what are we doing inside the ditch defensiveness solution in these next 4 weeks. And then I'm going to share with you a few bonuses. And like I mentioned, I do have a little special free giveaway. Just thank you for showing up, not for me, but showing up for you here today. So we go deep into this ditch defensiveness method in this 4-week program. And I really kind of also want to bring to light, like ditching, if you take one thing away from today, I want it to be this. And I'm going to just share with you this example so your mind can really wrap around here. Okay. We got Serena Williams on deck, and, you know, I don't know if you like tennis or have seen tennis, but like when she like her on the court in the game is like so exciting and so amazing. And like, yeah, it's just really exciting. We get to like see these really exciting moments where she's like in action, putting to practice all the stuff she's been working on, you know, for months, years, decades, her whole lifetime. She is training for these moments. And you can think of these, like the game, like this game she's playing, like these big moments are like kind of like the conversations you're having with your partner, those moments, those inside the moment moments. And what we don't see is all of this. We don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that happen behind the scenes, the hours and hours and days and months and years of training. She has so many outside of the moment tools that then allow her, where she works on, right? That allow her to perform at really, really high levels in this game. Like this is like the big moment, right? So you can think about this. So ditching defensiveness is not just about how you show up in the moment, in those conversations. The real work happens outside of the moment. And this is what this program is designed around, is giving you these outside of the moment tools so that when you show up in conversation with your partner, you're like, okay, I got this. I know what to do. I've been training for this. So in this program, we go through, you're going to get 2 ditch defensiveness toolkits. You're going to get a toolkit for inside the moment, like when you're actually in conversation. What this looks like is, we just went over that, that tool of notice and notice, calm, respond, right? That's just one of the 20 tools that I have for you that you can use inside of the moment. Being able to actually ask your partner to like help you out by not using blaming language or whatever. Like, it is teamwork, right? So these inside of the moment tools, like I want to give you the kind of like scripts and dialogues and like how to actually work through some of these tough conversations and how to emotionally regulate and stay calm, cool, and collected while you're having really difficult situations. You also are going to get a set of outside the moment tools. And like I said, without these outside the moment tools, the inside the moment tools like are only so effective. When we start to heal stuff from our past, when we start to heal our old wounds, when we start to look and like up level our self-worth, there's nothing left to defend. Like when we're standing in our own confidence of like, I am a human being. I know I'm trying my best. I also make mistakes, and that is okay. When you feel comfortable making a mistake and you're like, you can have self-compassion for that, what you can do is start to focus on the impact you've had on your partner and focus on helping them feel better instead of needing to protect yourself, instead of needing to defend yourself and your ego identity. So yeah, inside the moment tools, again, just to reiterate, that's like during the conversation, there's a set of about 20 tools you can use to like help move through these conversations. And then we have the outside the moment tools where we're working together. I'm coaching with you. These are some exercises, some journaling. I'm going to have you look at some stuff, look at your shadow, make friends with your ego, all of this. And this is another one of my amazing clients. She said, I've spent over $6,000 on couples therapy over the last few years, but nothing has been as effective as working with Erica. These tools are a game changer. So yeah, this is the process of going from disconnected Debbie, right, who's stuck in the power struggle, and moving over to being connected Caroline, who's gotten the tools and the practices she needs to step into connected love with her partner. So inside of this program, I'm just going to give you a sneak peek so you can really like see what we're getting into and be able to make a decision if you think that this is in alignment with you. So what's included? So week 1, creating a new habit. So how do you start reprogramming your brain to ditch defensiveness? And I have a tool called the thought model. We're going to really dive into seeing how our thoughts create our emotions and then trigger actions and get our results. Week 2 is releasing resentment and blame. So this is where we're clearing out anything that is in the way of you and your partner connecting. And I'm going to walk you through my 5-step forgiveness formula. Oftentimes we forget how much stuff happened, especially in our longer relationships. We don't realize that there's lingering stuff sometimes. So this forgiveness formula will help you get rid of any unforgiveness. And yeah, it's just amazing. And words from a client who used this formula. So she says, when I went through Erica's forgiveness formula, I didn't even think I resented my husband for anything, but I trusted the process and I was curious to see what might come up. And all I have to say is, whoa, I didn't even realize that deep in my subconscious, I was holding on to something that happened in our first year of marriage, 13 years ago. It felt so good to uncover that old block of resentment and let that ish go. I was blown away at how freeing this process was for me and my husband. And I feel like I can now really show up and as a wife, a mother, having gone through this process. Really powerful stuff. We don't take the time to forgive our partners or ourselves, and resentment just like has a grip on us, lingering in the background until we deal with it. Week 3 is all about healing triggers, shadow work, and projection. So we're going to look at that shadow voice and see, for those of you who aren't familiar with shadow work, these are the kind of rejected pieces of ourself. And they show up as judgments in our relationship. And so we're going to get into that. This is like the real deal outside the moment tools that help you release defensiveness. Also projections. For those of you, I'm sure some of you have heard this term thrown around, but essentially when we're feeling something within ourselves, we can have the tendency to project that out onto the other person, and it makes them look like the bad guy. So really, this work is all about collecting our stuff right back to us and dealing with it and healing it. So we can create that connection in our relationships. Week 4 is cultivating high self-worth and confidence. And part of that work is meeting and nurturing your inner child. Because when in childhood, it can be the same can be true, where it's like you have parents who are loving and nurturing and caring, and at the same time, you didn't get what you needed. So this was me. Like, my parents are amazing, amazing, amazing. And I didn't get everything that I needed, which really took a toll, took a hit on my self-confidence and self-worth. And, also we're going to start to look at how we can start to meet our own needs and take the pressure off of our partner, stop needing them to change so that we can feel secure or confident. And this work around confidence is like, I used to kind of like eye roll at it. It's like, oh yeah, building confidence. Sure. Whatever. Like, I'm confident, but it's like, there's deeper levels to this stuff. And truly what I've discovered for myself is that when my self-worth is knocked, I am not showing up in my relationships, at work, in my life for myself. I'm engaging in self-sabotaging behavior. Old habits turn up. Like it's so sneaky. So I really want to give you the tools to build that self-confidence, up level that self-worth, clear out the crap from the past that is breaking any of this down. Also, bonus week, bonus training, because I know some of you have partners who are defensive. I can't just I could, but I know that some of you are like, well, what about my partner? I know that I can take responsibility and I'm responsible for my emotions, but like, what about them? I know that's a thing. So yeah, what about them? What do you do about your defensive partner? I'm going to do a special training, giving you exactly the tools and phrases and even like conversation guidelines to learn how to help your partner stay out of their defensiveness. So really, this is a 4-week container, but there are going to be 5 group live calls with me. There's going to be training, not as long as this one, but there will be a training section and then a coaching and Q&A section where you'll be able to work one-on-one with me to work through some of this stuff. So bonuses. Gift giving is one of my love languages. So I want to give you a few bonuses. So that one of them is, what do I do about my defensive partner? I'm going to do a whole training on, how do you manage when your partner gets defensive, and how do you co-regulate with them emotionally and help bring them back down to neutral so that you guys can have a calm, cool, and collected conversation. Bonus 2 is how to ask your partner to help you be less defensive. So part of this, as you're working through your own stuff, you can reach out and ask your partner and say, hey, like, I am so committed to this. I am stepping out of this. This is really important to me. I know it's important to us. It's like clearly affecting us. And here's what you can do to help support me. And the cool thing is if your partner is also defensive, right? It's like these tools go both ways. You can also use these tools to help your partner be less defensive. Repair conversations. Okay. So there's this 30-30 breakdown in relationship that again gets overlooked. So 30% of your time spent in a relationship, you're connected. Things are feeling pretty good, right? 30%, you're disconnecting, you're fighting, you're bickering, you're defensive, like there's a breakdown of connection. What we miss is this last 30%. this is where we come back together and repair and reunite in that connection. So again, this is a power struggle thing where couples get stuck as they're connected, they're disconnected, then they forget to come back and repair. They forget to come back and fully heal and process whatever the heck this was in this disconnection phase. And so repair conversations are vital to creating a secure and safe relationship with your partner. So I'm going to give you my framework. How do you have that repair conversation? Like, what do you do? What do you say to actually repair so we don't have these lingering resentments, these lingering things that build up, that contribute to that explosion that some of us have. Also, bonus 4, teach your partner how to love you. So I always say you can love somebody how you think they want to be loved. You can love somebody how you like to be loved, or you can love somebody how they actually want to be loved, right? And a lot, the sick joke of relationships is that a lot of us who come together have different love languages. And the one, like, your love language might be the hardest for your partner to do, and vice versa. So just be aware of that, like, that this love language is a thing. I fully believe in them. There are certain ways of being and things that people can do to help you feel loved. And we also can't expect our partner to be a mind reader. This is the other thing. We think, I've been in this relationship so long, like, they know me. They should know. We have these unspoken expectations. And the truth is we just can't. This is another way that we can take back responsibility for getting the love we want in relationship, is actually showing our partner, teaching them, reminding them how we want to be loved. And they can do that for us too. Okay. So if you're interested, if this is in alignment with you, this is a one-time investment of $444, or also you can do the payment plan. We can break it down into two easy payments of $228. And if you're interested and you want to go deeper with this work, I invite you to come join me in this month-long container plus a bonus week. And we're going to do weekly trainings. And you'll also get to interact with me one-on-one. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be real. It's going to be maybe intense a little bit of time, but it's also going to be fun. This stuff we can bring some lightheartedness to this deeper work. Like, that's really what I want to do. I don't want it to feel like, oh, like I have to do this work and it's so hard and difficult and it's so painful and awful and right? Like, let's come together and do this work together so it doesn't have to feel so heavy. So, and yeah, for those of you who are interested, and I'm going to email you the link as well, but it's defensiveness.therighterica.com/join program if you want to sign up. So would it be worth it to you if all of this working together for the next 4 weeks, would it be worth it to you to finally ditch your defensiveness and end the frustrating bickering tiffs and arguments you have with your partner? Empower you to inspire the loving response you want from your partner instead of triggering defensiveness, anger, or shutdown. Would it be worth it to you if you could, just handing over the tools you need to navigate the most difficult of conversations? We're talking about money, infidelity, lack of trust, parenting, you name it. Like, these tools can be applied to all these very, delicate conversations we're having in relationship. Would it be worth it to you if all these 4 weeks, to give you back your power, to feel happy and fulfilled and worthy and inspired and alive, no matter what your circumstances are? Would that be worth it to feel a little bit better? And yeah, like, I just asked this question just to kind of get you thinking, because nobody stops to ask you these questions. So as a coach, I'm going to ask, so what is your relationship worth to you? How much would you pay to protect your relationship or marriage? 5K, 10K, 30K. It's funny. Like I almost wrote on here, like, $500, but like $500, like it just, that sounds, it makes like this $400 like seem so like minor and futile to like look at, like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm protecting my relationship. I'm protecting my marriage. I'm also connecting back to myself. I'm taking my power back to feel happy again, to get the tools that I need to feel any feeling. When you're not afraid of feeling any feeling, there's nothing that can stop you from going after your dreams, starting that business, getting married, having kids, like whatever it is, like you can create it. This program, I think you're starting to understand, like, I hope that you're starting to get that it is so much bigger than defensiveness. It's so much bigger than that. Like, I can't hold back. I'm not just going to teach you one little thing. Oh, let's ditch defensiveness. Yes, we're ditching defensiveness, but this is about your life. This is about you getting what you want. This is about you feeling reinvigorated, feeling alive again. That's the work we're doing here. So I'm just saying, you know, there's no such thing as a $400 divorce. For those of you who are married, you know, it's true, right? So when we're talking about money, like, I know the money comes up and it's like, I can't afford it right now. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I need to pay this bill, but I'm just asking this stuff just to kind of presence you to like, what we're doing here, what we're looking at here, what's at stake. So yeah. You know, I know some of you also might be saying like, well, I'm not sure if this is actually going to work for me or my situation. I, you know, feel like I have special things going on that are different from other people. So what if your results were 100% guaranteed? Like, what if when you come into this program and leave the program, you get what you came for? Would you do it? Like, whatever you want to get out of this program, including ditching defensiveness, would you do it? Well, of course you would, right? Duh. So I'm including this 10x money back guarantee. So if after the first week of the program, you haven't felt like your whole life is 10 times better, if you're not like, okay, wow, like I really see the power of this program, I will happily refund you. Like, no questions asked. Totally cool. Also, I just want to remind you, if you're thinking like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I like trust my ability to manage my emotions. If your self-belief is getting in the way here, I just want to remind you that defensiveness is learned. Like, babies aren't born defensive. They're not. You weren't. We all weren't born defensive. We learned this behavior as a coping mechanism. And just like any habit that we learn, we can unlearn it. We can replace it with new healthy habits. And so that's what we're doing here. We're like taking your brain off autopilot, taking that like getting that ego managed, you know, right? It's not going to go away, of course, but we can learn to talk to our ego. We can learn to talk to our shadow. We can learn to talk to our inner child. We can replace this defensiveness habit. It doesn't have to have a grip on you for the rest of your life. It really doesn't. So, yeah. And yeah, so, time and day. So this is going to be an intimate group. I'm inviting no more than 10 people into this program, because I really want it to like be able to have one-on-one time with you. So we will find a day and time, if you're interested, that will work for the group. I'm committed to having that happen so you guys can be at the trainings. Of course, there's always replays, but I really want to be able to work with you guys live, and get you the focus and attention and coaching that you need. So just to recap here, 4 weeks of transformational trainings, 4 weeks of connection creating exercises, 4 weeks of coaching calls and support, plus the bonus week where we're going to be looking at, if you have a defensive partner, how do you work with them? So that is the ditch defensiveness solution. And yeah, I'm so excited to be able to offer this to you and invite you in to do this deeper work with me. Let me know if there's any questions. And also, this freebie for being here. So because so much of the work that I do is around mastering your emotions and being able to like step out of the reactivity, I'm going to be sending all of you who are here on the call today, my meditation. It's truly a self-hypnosis because it starts speaking to your subconscious mind and rewiring some of the stuff going on in there. So you can start mastering your emotions and start feeling like you have a little bit more control over your emotions and how you feel. So I'm going to send that over. But thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to see all your faces and be in the energy of you guys today. Just makes my heart so happy. And, yeah, if you guys have questions, for those of you who are here, I'm absolutely happy to, answer. You can, throw them in the chat. If you want to like hop on and ask me a question live, we can do that as well. So yeah, let me know. I'm going to check in with the chat here and just see if anybody has questions. Yeah. So, yeah, how long are the calls each week? So the calls each week will be anywhere from, I'd say about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And of course there are replays. But those calls are really focused. Like I want you guys to be able to come I'm going to give you these tools. And I want you to be able to come and like work through stuff that's actually live and real and happening in your relationship. So yeah. And the timing of it, like, don't worry about timing. We're going to make it work. Whatever your schedule is, we're just going to make it work because it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a small, intimate group. And also the beauty of group, like this is an interesting one because I know relationships are sensitive and personal. And, what I've found, however, and why because of course I do one-on-one coaching, with clients, but what I found was missing is this group element where you can come together and really feel like you're not alone in this. You're not the only one dealing with this. You're not the only one with a partner who's doing XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Like we're not alone in this work. And, I've also found that what feels most personal is actually what's most general. So whatever is feeling so sensitive to you and your situation and your relationship, I guarantee you, there are so many other people out there who are working through the same stuff. And so it's just beautiful to be in the energy and the space together, and work through stuff. And some people might ask questions that you didn't even think about. And without even, working one-on-one with me or getting coached directly by me, you get to see yourself in these other people and you get to get the transformation and the lesson through watching them ask their questions. Okay. So yeah, so it is group sessions. So really, truly 5 weeks with the bonus, hour and a half to like, really like the time is up to you. Like I'm going to keep those trainings to under an hour because I know some of you, like that's the amount of time you have, but I'm flexible on timing. Like if we want to stay longer and it takes 2 hours for you guys to get what you want, then it takes 2 hours to get what you came for. Like I'm literally here at your disposal, showing up for you. Oh yeah. In Australia. Yeah. For those of you who are on different time zones and maybe aren't able to come to the live coaching calls. And I'm just like riffing live here. Like I'm in service of you guys. And so if something, one thing that just came to mind, if you guys really wanted to do a one-on-one coaching call with me, your own private session that's in your time zone, I'm here for it. I'm open to it. Let's throw it into the bonuses. So yeah, I just want to reiterate that too. Like I'm here in service of you guys and, we'll make sure that you got what you came for. Yes. Here's my international audience, Australia and New Zealand. Somebody else said they were in Denmark. I love being able to work with people all around the world. Like we are all connected. We are all one. It's pretty cool. So yeah, do any of you guys have questions? You know where to find me too. My email is at the Erica at therighterica.com. So ERICA. My last name's Wright, WRIGHT. So you can find me there. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at the Right Erica. I'm on Facebook. So reach out with questions. The price is in USD. For the sake of conversion. And those of you who would rather do like a PayPal option, we can set it up. Just shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. I'm super flexible on like however you want to pay me, go for it. It's totally fine. On the sales page right now, it's set up to take credit card, or even I think it'll run a debit card as a credit card. But if you do want PayPal, or like whatever, I use Zelle as well. We can make that happen too. So let me know how I can be of service to you. It's been just such a pleasure, like in this month long of getting ready for this workshop, creating this training, creating these slides, thinking about you guys. I mean, I've spent weeks and weeks, months thinking about like, what do these people need? Like, how can I be of service? Like, what would be most helpful? And, I know this presentation was a little long, but I really tried to boil it down, to give you like really what you need without totally draining you and taking up your whole day. And obviously, yeah, we can only get through so much in just a couple hours here, which is why I'm offering the deeper work. If you want to like really dive in and get in and see what's lurking in the subconscious mind there, lurking in the background. Yeah. And yes, somebody did, private message me about one-on-one coaching. So if you're like, this is awesome, but, I really just want to work with you one-on-one and like have it all be about me, then heck yeah, let's do it. I do offer one-on-one coaching packages as well. So you can reach out to me for that. I know some of you have actually, I'm seeing some familiar names. Some of you do have individual sessions with me already scheduled. So excited to connect with you guys and meet you guys. Okay, what's the deadline? So yeah, when does this start too? So, this program, because yeah, so what's the deadline for those spots? Just need to evaluate. So I'm going to leave this open for, probably about 7 days. This kind of enrollment period will be open for about 7 days because I want to be able to give you the time. Like if you need to go find the money or make the money or ask a friend or a parent or shift some things around, I want to give you that time and the space to be able to make it work for you. And so, yeah, that is that. Woo! I'm getting a little excited over here with this microphone. Yeah. Does anyone else have questions? So lovely to connect with you guys. I see Isabel and Alexandra and Brittany and Lena and Grace and Grace. I think we're talking tomorrow. I will say that Grace is my word of the year. And so my intention for the year is discovering grace. So excited to connect with you, Grace. And I see Daia. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's a really cool name. So yeah, love you guys. Thank you for being here. Dia. Okay. Yes. Dia from New Zealand. That's right. I'll remember that. Okay. Well, thank you for coming into my energy today, letting me share myself with you and the work that I do. And it's just such a pleasure to be able to connect with you guys today. Reach out to me privately again, Erica at therighterica.com or on Instagram, at therighterica. You can find me there too. And just let me know what you need. I got your back. I got your back. And just remember, I was defensive Debbie. I was that person that was like so stuck in all this crap and like broke down all sorts of relationships and lost a few. So if I can do it, you can do it. I promise. It's all manageable. So, okay. Yeah, totally. And if those of you who are like, just still kind of like, I'm not sure if this is right for me. Yeah, reach out, we can do a mini session and, yeah, you can find all of that information on the link in my Instagram or the link on my TikTok and, find all the ways to work with me there as well, including, that intro discovery session to just assess, like, is this right for you? What are my next steps? Are we a good match? All that fun stuff. I hope after today, you feel like regardless, we'd be a good fit for each other. I'm guessing those of you who are still here feel like you like me, you want to work with me. So come hang out with me. Okay. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to hop off. I'm going to drink some tea for this, whatever chest cold thing I have going on, and get ready for talking with Grace tomorrow. I'm so excited about that. Okay. Thank you. I love you. Mwah! From the bottom of my heart. Just know that you got this. There are tools to move past whatever it is that you are facing in relationship and life. There are resources, there are tools. I'm here. So, okay. I will see you guys soon. Thanks for being here. Bye.